6 years after defeating Ganon, an ancient princess cursed to sleep forever, and the one piece of the Triforce hidden so well that an entire kingdom forgot it existed. While players curse at Iron Knuckles and rage quit in the Great Palace, they're missing something profound. Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, holds one of the deepest, most tragic backstories in the entire franchise, and most fans have never truly understood it. This isn't just about difficulty. This is about a narrative so carefully concealed that it transforms everything we thought we knew about Hyrule's golden age. Released in 1987 for the Famicom Disk System and 1988 for the NES internationally, The Adventure of Link became infamous as the series' black sheep. The side-scrolling combat, the brutal difficulty, the RPG elements that never returned. But while the gaming community spent decades debating whether the gameplay deserved its reputation, they overlooked something crucial. The story of Zelda 2 is fundamentally different from every other game in the series. It's not about stopping an immediate threat. It's about correcting a tragedy that occurred generations before Link was even born. The game's narrative operates on two parallel tracks that most players never connect. The first track is straightforward. Link must retrieve the Triforce of Courage from the Great Palace to wake Princess Zelda from her eternal slumber. The second track, hidden in the instruction manual and cryptic NPC dialogue, reveals a kingdom in perpetual crisis, a royal family torn apart by greed and secrecy, and a curse so powerful it literally changed how the monarchy named its daughters for centuries. What makes Zelda 2's lore so mysterious in 2025 isn't that it's poorly explained, it's that the explanation exists in places most modern gamers never look. The instruction manual, which accompanied the original release, contains pages of backstory that fundamentally alter how the entire game should be understood. Without this manual, players experience a disjointed quest through abandoned palaces and hostile towns. With it, every location becomes a monument to failure, every enemy a consequence of royal hubris, and every spell learned a step toward redemption. Let's start with what happens on the surface. The game begins 6 years after the original Legend of Zelda. Link has defeated Ganon, rescued Princess Zelda, the Princess Zelda from the first game, and peace has returned to Hyrule. But peace is fragile. As Link approaches his 16th birthday, something impossible occurs. A mark appears on the back of his left hand, the crest of the kingdom, the symbol of the Triforce itself. This mark is the catalyst that sends Impa, Princess Zelda's nursemaid, into a state of shock and fear. Why would Impa be terrified of a birthmark? Because she knows what it means. She knows the legend that only descendants of her family, who have served the royal line for generations, are permitted to know. She takes Link to a door in the North Castle, a door that has remained sealed for so long that most citizens of Hyrule don't even remember it exists. The door that does not open. When Link presses the mark on his hand against this door, something ancient awakens. The door opens to reveal a hidden chamber, and within that chamber, lying on an altar, is a young woman in a deep, unnatural sleep. This is Zelda, but not the Zelda that Link saved 6 years ago. This is the first Zelda, the original bearer of the name, and she has been sleeping in this sealed room for countless generations, her existence a secret kept by Impa's family alone. The instruction manual provides the full horror of what happened. Long before the events of the first Legend of Zelda, when Hyrule was united as one country, a great king ruled with wisdom and power. He possessed all three pieces of the Triforce, power, wisdom, and courage, and used their combined might to maintain peace throughout the land. This was a golden age, a time when Hyrule flourished under benevolent leadership. But the king was mortal, and eventually he passed away. According to the laws of succession, the prince, the king's son, should have inherited everything, including the complete Triforce. But when the prince tried to claim his birthright, something went wrong. The Triforce split. He inherited only part of it. The Triforce of Power and the Triforce of Wisdom remained, but the Triforce of Courage was gone, vanished, hidden. Then, a magician close to the late king brought shocking news. Before his death, the king had told someone where the Triforce of Courage was hidden. He had confided this information to only one person, his daughter, Princess Zelda, the prince's younger sister. The prince immediately confronted his sister, demanding she reveal the location, but Princess Zelda refused to speak. She would not tell him where the Triforce of Courage was hidden, no matter how much he pleaded or demanded. The instruction manual makes it clear that she remained silent, even in the face of her brother's growing desperation. What happened next defines the tragedy at Zelda 2's core. The magician, frustrated by the princess's refusal, issued a threat. He told Princess Zelda that if she did not reveal the location of the Triforce, he would place her under an eternal sleeping spell. Still, she refused. She would not speak. In his rage, the magician began chanting the spell. The prince, realizing what was happening, tried to stop him, but it was too late. The magician fought off the prince and completed the incantation. Princess Zelda collapsed where she stood, falling into a sleep from which she would never wake. And in that same moment, having expended all his power in the curse, the magician also fell and died. The prince was left in a kingdom of his own making, a kingdom without its most powerful artifact, without his sister, without the magician, and without any way to undo what had been done. Overcome with grief and guilt, he placed his sister's body in the secret chamber of the North Castle. He ordered that the door be sealed, never to be opened except by one bearing the mark of the hero. And he decreed that from that day forward, every female born to the royal family would be named Zelda, so that the tragedy of his sister would never be forgotten. This is why the Princess Zelda that Link saves in the first game bears that name. This is why Impa reacts with such fear when she sees the mark on Link's hand. This is why the Kingdom of Hyrule in Zelda 2 is not a thriving realm, but a collection of scattered towns and crumbling palaces. The Golden Age ended generations ago when a prince's greed and a magician's fury destroyed everything the great king had built. But the manual goes further. It explains why the king hid the Triforce of Courage in the first place. According to the text, the king declared that not everybody could use the Triforce. It required a strong character with no evil thoughts and an inborn special quality that he had never found during his lifetime. The king recognized that even his own son might not be worthy of the Triforce's full power, so he made a decision that would echo through centuries. He would hide the Triforce of Courage in the Great Palace, deep in the Valley of Death, where only a true hero could claim it. The king created the 6 crystals and distributed them across Hyrule, placing them in 6 palaces. Each palace would serve as a trial, testing anyone who sought the Triforce of Courage. Only by placing all 6 crystals in their proper locations could the barrier protecting the Great Palace be lifted. And even then, the challenger would face the palace's guardians, the mighty Thunderbird, and a final test of characters so profound that it would determine once and for all whether they were worthy. That final test is Link's shadow, known in later games as Dark Link. After defeating the Thunderbird, Link enters a final chamber where the lights dim and a shadow peels away from his own body. This shadow mirrors Link's every move, possesses all his abilities, and represents the ultimate trial. Link must literally overcome himself, must prove that his courage is stronger than any darkness within him to claim the Triforce of Courage. This is why the king created this test. This is why the Triforce of Courage was hidden while power and wisdom remained in the kingdom. The king understood that courage without wisdom becomes recklessness, and courage without restraint becomes tyranny. The one who claims the Triforce of Courage must prove they have mastered themselves completely. When Link defeats his shadow and claims the Triforce of Courage from the sage who guards it, he doesn't just complete a dungeon, he fulfills a prophecy that has waited for generations. He unites all 3 pieces of the Triforce for the first time since the Great King's death. And with this complete Triforce, he has the power to break the curse that no magic, no priest, no sage could break for countless years. He awakens the first Princess Zelda from her eternal sleep. The game's ending shows this moment. Princess Zelda opening her eyes, the curse finally broken, Link standing with the complete Triforce. It's a moment of triumph, but it's also a moment of profound sadness. This Princess Zelda has lost everything. Her father is long dead. Her brother, who caused her curse, has passed away generations ago. The golden age she remembers is nothing but legend now. She awakens to a kingdom she doesn't recognize, to a Hyrule that has been in slow decline for longer than she was ever awake.
Now let's discuss the environmental storytelling that supports this narrative. The 6 palaces that Link must navigate, the Parappa Palace, Medoro Palace, Island Palace, Maze Island Palace, Palace on the Sea, and 3-Eye Rock Palace, are not random dungeons. They're ruins of the Golden Age, abandoned structures that once served the Great King's kingdom. Each palace contains enemies that feel ancient and purposeful. Moas, Aches, Iron Knuckles, Wizrobes, all remnants of whatever defensive magic the king placed within them. The towns scattered across Hyrule tell their own story of decline. Rauru, Ruto, Saria, Mido, Naboru, Darunia, Old Kasuto, and New Kasuto. These settlements are insular and suspicious. The NPCs offer cryptic advice and require Link to complete tasks before they'll help him. This isn't just game design, it's a reflection of a kingdom that has been in crisis for so long that trust has eroded. When Impa tells Link the legend at the beginning, she mentions that Hyrule is on the road to ruin, that Ganon's death hasn't brought peace, that his minions still remain, seeking his resurrection. The kingdom is fractured, weak, vulnerable. This fragility connects directly to the timeline placement revealed in Hyrule Historia, Nintendo's official chronology released in 2011. Zelda 2 takes place in what's called the Fallen Hero timeline, the branch of the Zelda timeline where Link fails to defeat Ganon in Ocarina of Time. In this timeline, Ganon claims the complete Triforce and transforms the Sacred Realm into the Dark World. The events of A Link to the Past eventually seal Ganon away, but his influence corrupts everything. The Legend of Zelda and the Adventure of Link take place at the end of this timeline, in a Hyrule that has endured centuries of conflict, dark magic, and recurring evil. Understanding this placement is crucial because it explains why Zelda 2's Hyrule feels so different from other games. This isn't the Hyrule of Ocarina of Time, where Castletown thrives and the kingdom is strong. This isn't the Hyrule of A Link to the Past, where the monarchy still holds some measure of control. This is a Hyrule at the end of its rope, where even the royal family's greatest tragedy, Princess Zelda's curse, has been mostly forgotten, where the secrets of the past are kept by a single family of nursemaids, where ancient palaces crumble into ruin and the greatest weapon against evil remains hidden because no one has been worthy to claim it. The instruction manual's prologue emphasizes this decay. After Ganon's destruction in the first game, it states that his vile heart left behind power that continued causing chaos in Hyrule. His underlings remained, waiting for his return. The key to Ganon's resurrection was Link's blood. The hero who defeated the King of Evil would become the sacrifice to revive him. This is why enemies pursue Link so relentlessly throughout the game. This is why every battle matters. Link isn't just completing a quest, he's in a race against cultists and monsters who want to use his death to bring back the greatest evil Hyrule has ever known. The 8 spells Link learns throughout his journey reinforce the lore's depth. Each town's wise man teaches Link a different spell: shield, jump, life, fairy, fire, reflect, spell, and thunder. These aren't arbitrary power-ups, they're knowledge passed down through generations. Magic that once belonged to the sages and wise men who served the great king. By teaching Link these spells, the wise men are investing in the prophecy that Impa revealed, that a hero marked by the Triforce would come to restore what was lost. The experience system in Zelda 2, often criticized as grindy or tedious, actually reinforces the theme of Link proving himself worthy. The king hid the Triforce of Courage specifically for someone with special qualities, someone who would grow stronger through trials. Link's journey from a 16-year-old youth to a warrior capable of defeating his own shadow is a transformation that the experience and leveling system represents mechanically. Every enemy defeated, every experience point gained, every level achieved in attack, magic, or life is Link demonstrating that he possesses the inborn special quality that King sought. This brings us to why Zelda 2's lore remains mysterious in 2025, because the gaming landscape has changed so dramatically since 1987 that the way players access information has transformed completely. When Zelda 2 was released, the instruction manual was an essential part of the experience. Players would read the manual while the game loaded, during car rides home from the store, before bed. The manual wasn't supplementary, it was integral. Without it, large portions of the game's narrative simply didn't exist for the player. But as gaming evolved, manuals became thinner, then digital, then disappeared entirely. Modern re-releases of Zelda 2 on platforms like the Nintendo Switch Online service include the game, but often bury the manual in menus, if they include it at all. Players who experience Zelda 2 today through these modern platforms often never see the extensive backstory that the original manual provided. They play through the game experiencing only what's in the dialogue and environmental design, missing the crucial context that transforms the adventure from a difficult action platformer into a mythic quest for redemption.
This creates a fascinating disconnect. Hardcore Zelda fans who study the timeline and read Hyrule Historia understand Zelda 2's placement and significance, but casual players who boot up the game on Switch expecting another Zelda adventure find themselves confused by cryptic dialogue, hostile townspeople, and grinding through palaces without understanding why any of it matters. The lore is there, but it's been separated from the experience. The manual's explanation of the sleeping Zelda, the prince's tragedy, and the king's wisdom provides crucial emotional weight to everything Link does. When Link enters a palace and fights through rooms of powerful enemies, he's not just progressing through a level, he's proving himself worthy of a test that a king designed centuries ago. When Link learns a spell from a wise man, he's not just gaining a new ability, he's receiving secret knowledge passed down through generations, magic that once belonged to an age when Hyrule was whole. When Link places a crystal in a statue, he's not just unlocking a barrier, he's fulfilling one step of an elaborate prophecy, one piece of a puzzle the king created to ensure only a true hero would reach the Triforce of Courage. Without this context, Zelda 2 becomes a frustrating gauntlet of difficult enemies and obscure progression. With it, the game transforms into one of the series' most emotionally resonant stories, a tale about correcting the mistakes of the past, about proving worthy of a burden that has waited for generations, about awakening a princess who sacrificed everything to protect a secret she believed was worth her eternal sleep. The introduction of Dark Link as the final boss carries tremendous weight when understood through this lens. Link's shadow isn't a cheap twist or a difficult final challenge, it's the ultimate question the king posed to anyone seeking the Triforce of Courage. Can you face yourself? Can you overcome the darkness within your own heart? Are you truly courageous, or are you simply skilled in combat? The king understood that anyone capable of reaching the Great Palace would be a formidable warrior, but the Triforce of Courage requires more than martial prowess. It requires absolute mastery of oneself, the ability to face your own weaknesses and fears and emerge victorious. When Link defeats his shadow, he's not just winning a boss fight, he's answering a question that has echoed through Hyrule for generations. Yes, he is worthy. He possesses the strong character with no evil thoughts that the king sought. He has the inborn special quality that the king never found during his lifetime. And because Link proves this, he gains the power to achieve what seemed impossible, to wake the first Princess Zelda and restore a piece of what Hyrule lost in that ancient tragedy. The narrative's influence on gameplay design becomes clear when viewed through this framework. The game's difficulty isn't arbitrary, it's thematic. Hyrule is in decline, under constant threat, filled with powerful enemies seeking to resurrect Ganon. Link begins weak because he's young, still untested. The grinding through battles, the careful resource management, the strategic use of magic, all of this represents Link's gradual transformation into the hero that prophecy foretold. The journey is supposed to be arduous because the stakes are generational. This isn't about saving Hyrule from an immediate threat. This is about restoring what a king's death, a prince's greed, and a magician's curse destroyed. Zelda 2 introduced concepts that would echo through the series for decades. The Triforce of Courage made its debut here, establishing the complete trinity of power, wisdom, and courage that would define the series' mythology. Dark Link became one of the franchise's most iconic enemies, reappearing in Ocarina of Time's Water Temple, in Four Swords Adventures, and A Link Between Worlds and beyond. The concept of Link possessing an inborn spirit that reincarnates across eras, the hero's spirit, has roots in Zelda 2's narrative about a chosen hero marked by the Triforce. The game even foreshadowed Ganon's recurring resurrections. The manual explains that Ganon's minions seek to revive his master by sprinkling Link's blood on his ashes. This mechanic that Ganon can be resurrected even after death becomes a fundamental aspect of the series. In A Link to the Past, Ganon returns after being sealed. In Ocarina of Time, the timeline splits based on whether Ganon is defeated or successful. In The Wind Waker, the King of Hyrule floods the kingdom specifically to prevent Ganon's return. Zelda 2 established that defeating Ganon doesn't end the threat, only postpones it, and that concept shaped the entire franchise's approach to its central antagonist. The tradition of naming every Princess Zelda established in this game's backstory provides an in-universe explanation for why every game features a Princess Zelda. It's not laziness or coincidence, it's a royal decree enacted by a grieving prince who wanted to ensure his sister's sacrifice would never be forgotten. Every Princess Zelda throughout the series carries the weight of that first Zelda's choice to protect the Triforce of Courage, even at the cost of her own freedom.
What makes the mystery endure is that Zelda 2 never received the kind of retrospective attention other games in the series earned. When Ocarina of Time released in 1998, it redefined the franchise and became the standard by which all Zelda games would be measured. A Link to the Past enjoyed similar reverence, but Zelda 2 remained the outlier, the experimental entry that most discussions treated as a footnote, interesting for its differences, but not essential to understanding the series. This perception meant that when Hyrule Historia revealed the official timeline in 2011, many fans discovered Zelda 2's placement and significance for the first time. They realized this game, dismissed as the black sheep, actually contained crucial lore that connected multiple games and explained elements of the series' mythology that had been mysteries for decades. The placement at the end of the Fallen Hero timeline gave context to why Hyrule felt so decayed, why the monarchy seemed weak, why ancient palaces dotted the landscape as ruins. But even with Hyrule Historia's revelations, the game's full narrative remained obscure to most players because the Historia didn't reprint the entire instruction manual. It confirmed the timeline placement and acknowledged the game's importance, but it didn't restore the contextual storytelling that the original manual provided. To truly understand Zelda 2's lore, fans still needed to seek out the original manual or find it archived online, creating an additional barrier to accessing the complete narrative. For dedicated Zelda scholars, this treasure hunt became part of the game's appeal. Finding the manual, reading the backstory, connecting the narrative threads to the timeline placement, and understanding how Zelda 2's story influenced future games turned into a rewarding research project. But for the average player, especially those discovering the series through modern compilations, Zelda 2 remained an enigmatic entry, notable for its difficulty and unique gameplay, but mysterious in terms of its narrative significance. The game's reputation as brutally difficult also overshadowed its storytelling. Players became so focused on surviving encounters with blue iron knuckles, navigating the Great Palace's labyrinth, or defeating the Thunderbird that the narrative context fell away. Zelda 2 became famous for its challenging gameplay rather than its tragic backstory, and this reputation discouraged many players from even attempting to engage with the story. Why analyze the lore of a game you can't finish? Yet for those who persevere, who reach the Great Palace, who defeat their own shadow, who awaken the sleeping princess, the payoff is profound. The ending takes on layers of meaning. Link hasn't just completed another quest, he's fulfilled a prophecy that waited for generations.
He's proven the king's faith that someday a hero worthy of the Triforce of Courage would emerge. He's broken a curse that no magic in the kingdom could undo. He's given the first Princess Zelda a chance to wake to a world that, while diminished, has hope again, because a hero marked by the Triforce has proven that courage still exists in Hyrule. Looking at Zelda 2 in 2025, 38 years after its release, the mystery persists because the game asks more of players than most modern games do. It asks them to read supplementary material. It asks them to piece together cryptic NPC dialogue. It asks them to understand that the instruction manual isn't just a controller reference guide, but an essential component of the narrative experience. It asks them to look past the difficult gameplay and see the story of redemption and restoration underneath. This approach to storytelling, dispersed across multiple sources, requiring player investigation, rewarding those who seek deeper understanding, was common in the NES era, but has largely disappeared from modern game design. Today's games typically present their narratives within the game itself, through cutscenes, dialogue, and environmental storytelling. The idea that crucial plot points would exist exclusively in a manual seems archaic. But for Zelda 2, this was intentional design. The manual's extensive backstory provided context that enriched the experience for players who engaged with it, while allowing those who wanted to focus purely on gameplay to do so, without mandatory story interruptions. The result is a game with one of the deepest lores in the franchise that most players never fully understand. The sleeping princess, the prince's tragedy, the king's wisdom, the curse that changed royal tradition, the prophecy of a hero marked by the Triforce, the test that the king designed to find someone truly worthy, the complete Triforce assembled for the first time in generations, the awakening of the first Zelda. All of this exists in Zelda 2's narrative, but accessing it requires the kind of dedicated engagement that modern gaming has moved away from. When fans debate Zelda timelines or discuss the series' best stories, they often overlook Zelda 2 because its narrative is hidden behind difficulty and obscure presentation. But the story is there, waiting for those willing to seek it. It's in the instruction manual that most players never read.
It's in Impa's exposition at the beginning, easy to skip in the rush to start playing. It's in the cryptic dialogue of townspeople, easy to ignore when focused on finding the next dungeon. It's in the environmental design of the palaces, monuments to a fallen age. It's in the final confrontation with Link's shadow, a test of character disguised as a boss fight. Zelda 2's lore remains a mystery in 2025 because the game never compromised its vision to make that lore more accessible. It trusts players to seek understanding if they want it, to piece together the narrative from scattered sources, to appreciate the tragedy underlying the adventure. For those who make that effort, who read the manual and connect the dots, who understand what the sleeping Zelda represents and why the Triforce of Courage was hidden, Zelda 2 transforms from a notoriously difficult action game into one of the series' most profound meditations on legacy, responsibility, and the weight of prophecy. The sleeping princess in the sealed room, the hero marked by fate, the test that waited for generations, the curse that changed a kingdom. These aren't just plot points, they're the foundation of a story about how the mistakes of the past echo through time until someone proves worthy to correct them. That story deserves to be understood, and that's why 38 years later, Zelda 2's lore still matters, still resonates, and still holds mysteries for those willing to look beyond the surface and discover what the game has been trying to tell them all along.